What's going on, guys? Josh here checking in. We're back in the gym, final week of heavy training. I am exactly 9 days, 12 hours, 22 minutes, and 31 seconds out from my powerlifting competition. Yes, I've got a countdown on my phone. So this is the last heavy week of training. Things are getting serious. I had a terrible bench session yesterday. I recorded a different intro and I'm not even gonna show it to you guys because I was just in so much pain. Yeah, I was like on the verge of tears yesterday. It was pretty freaking unfortunate. I did my last warm-up single at 115 and I'll show you that clip now. It really wasn't that bad, but right after that I was just in excruciating pain in my whole kind of left elbow, all the muscles around there. It's worse in kind of the tennis elbow lateral epicondyle region, but it was just really bad. Like I couldn't use my arm at all. If I were to have tried to do like 70 kilos or like, I don't know, 155 pounds on the bench, I would have been crushed right after that. So that has never happened to me before, and that was a bummer. But today is a new day. There's nothing we can do about that now. We've got to deadlift. So seeing as my bench has been very on and off this training cycle because of these injuries, that means that squat and deadlift are gonna have to make up the difference in that total. So we've got some heavy deadlifts today, probably the heaviest, definitely the heaviest I've ever deadlifted on a stiff bar ever. My PR is 601 on a deadlift bar. Keep in mind, deadlift bar is a lot easier than a stiff bar. So we're gonna work up pretty heavy, and stay tuned because we're gonna get right to it. All right, guys, that was really freaking hard. That was 0.12 meters per second. I came very close to passing out, and I basically pooed my pants, but all in the name of good fun, I suppose. So that was a pretty big PR. I was not expecting it to be so hard, but we accomplished the rep. I think I probably would have gotten the lockout. I would have liked to see what it looked like from the side. That would have been a close one. So yeah, the best I've ever done in competition is slightly more than that. It's 601, which I think is probably 257, 272.5 kilos, but I did that on a deadlift bar. So deadlift bars are so much easier. The most I've ever done on a stiff bar in competition is 252.5 kilos. In my last competition, I went for, I think, 265 on a stiff bar, and I failed it. And that was like 5 years ago, so that was a long time ago, but that was definitely the most I've ever done on a stiff bar. I'm pretty stoked about it, and I have a feeling the rest of these sets are gonna be really challenging because that was a doozy, and that took a lot out of me. So I'm just gonna finish with the rest of that stuff, and I'll catch you guys later.
They ain't never gonna stop us, fly man, I'm like choppers, better took those risks, cold butter my fists, we fire starters, one out of a million will reach those heights, always in the field and then I won't deny that work, never could toss, look in my eyes, I'm on the rocks, guys.
Welcome back, guys. So it's Saturday night. We are less than a week out from the competition. Sorry that I'm not as lively and happy as I normally am. I do not feel like a normal person. I've had 300 milligrams of caffeine, and I've got like 16 ounces of cold brew that I make myself. This stuff is like crack. I still don't feel like I'm a normal person. I've just been on nights for too long, and my days off I've just been working, doing other things, moonlighting or working on projects, or helping, doing programming and responding to client emails and things like that. So it's just, that's how it is. It's finally catching up to me. Fortunately, I have tonight and tomorrow night, and then I have some time off before my competition. So a week out is typically when I would normally do my last heavy squat session. But being my own coach, there's big picture, I had to kind of take into consideration the fact that I have not been able to hit any sort of heavy bench pressing in over a week. And it would be a very poor decision to go into this competition having hit my last heavy bench like 2.5 weeks or 2+ weeks out from the competition. That would not be a good idea. So basically what I normally would have scheduled would be my heavy squat session today and then a heavy bench session tomorrow. But as we've kind of seen through this training block, heavy squats really, really aggravate my elbow. And that issue is still very much an active issue. My last heavy bench session I wasn't able to do after one moderately heavy single, I was done. And so, that's obviously not enough stimulus to keep me in shape to head into a competition. So what I've decided to do is I've decided to switch the schedule up a little bit. I typically, wouldn't do this, but I don't think that one day of squatting heavy a little bit later will drastically affect my conditioning in the competition. And it'll be a low volume, high intensity session anyway, so hopefully not too bad. But I'm going to try and more or less accomplish the workout that I wasn't able to do previously for the bench session. I'm gonna be a little bit more in tune with what's going on to make sure that I can hopefully get through this workout and just get some quality reps in. So without further ado, we're gonna get to the training. Again, I'm sorry that I'm so freaking tired, guys. I am it's really hard to describe the way that I feel right now. It's not a normal feeling. Sort of like a purgatory between being awake and being asleep and being a zombie. Sort of like when you feel sick. It's hard to explain. It seems like my caffeine receptors have shut off. They're not working. So let's get to it. All right, guys, so that was 122.5. That I'll take, man. I would say that the discomfort in my left arm and elbow is very manageable. Definitely not like my last session, which was totally unbearable. It was a slow rep. It was 0.11 meters per second, which is very slow. That's very, very close to my kind of peak, as slow as I can go. As far as average velocity, I have hit below 0.1 meters per second before, but I would say that that's not reliable. And so overall, I would say that that's pretty close to an RPE 10. Could I have done 125? I don't know. It would have been very, very close. 125 is the best I've ever done in competition as far as I can remember. So, I've been benching basically one time a week for the past 3 or 4 weeks, down from 3 times a week. So it's a huge drop in volume. And I'm just super happy that I have not become a total weakling. I suppose I should say much weaker than my bench normally is, because obviously my bench compared to my squat and my deadlift is pretty laughable. But for me, I have not lost much strength, which I am pretty stoked about. So I'm just gonna hit some more kind of reps. I'm probably not gonna film all this, but overall, I would say that this is a win. And I think that the strategic plan of switching my bench session to today was a very, very good decision. I'm pretty certain that if I had done a really heavy squat session today, my arm would have been really messed up and tomorrow's bench session would have been a disaster. So I'm very, very glad that I made this decision. And I will catch you guys later. I'll probably show you some sets and then I'll see you tomorrow for some squats. Alright guys, welcome back. Today is Sunday. Today is the final day of heavy squats, and I have to say, you guys can probably tell, I am not as flippin' tired as I was yesterday. I was totally toasted yesterday, and today is a new day. I slept way more than I had intended to, so I'm just gonna roll with that and get to these squats. So, like I said yesterday, I typically would give myself one more day between my last heavy squat session and the actual competition. If I'm competing on a Saturday, I typically like to do my last heavy squat session the Saturday before. So now I'm basically one day behind. And so I'm just gonna make a slight modification to the plan today. I'm basically just going to do a few less reps above 90%. I just don't wanna be too fatigued. I wanna make sure that going into this, I do what I need to do, but not too much. Definitely don't want to go into meet day feeling not ready. So today's plan is to work up to a heavy single somewhere between a second attempt and a third attempt. Not quite a third attempt level. My goal is not to hit a third attempt during training, but probably something around a second attempt, maybe slightly more than a second attempt. We'll go up to that today, then just do some heavy stuff. And that'll pretty much be it. It's not going to be a whole lot of fluff in today's workout, being 5.5 days out from the competition. So let's get to it. I will catch you guys in a bit. Alright guys, so that training session is a wrap. I was able to hit 220 kilos, which is 485 pounds. That set definitely took a lot out of me. After that, everything was moving very slowly. And overall, I don't feel too much cumulative fatigue. I'm sure some of it's there in the background from training. But yeah, so you guys probably noticed that the 220, the 485 pound set, that's single, was quite a bit slower than the previous. So my velocities were going pretty good. On 200 kilos, I hit that at 0.39 meters per second. And then 210 kilos, I hit that at 0.34. So, only a drop of about 0.05 from 200 to 210. So you might expect, based on that I would be somewhere around 0.28, 0.3 for 220. Well, I hit 220 at 0.2. Now, that's the only time I've ever hit 220, so I don't really have a lot of data. That's one single data point, which is really hard to say in the big scheme of things. certainly could be an outlier, but that's also the nature of working with heavier weights and realizing that kind of what happens in science and prediction and models is one part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole thing, right? Because, you know, for example, on that 220 set, that's the heaviest I've ever done. That means that I'm likely going to experience new technical problems that I haven't necessarily dealt with, or a worsening of ones that I've dealt with before, as well as the mental aspect of lifting a weight that you've never lifted before. So, you know, keeping that into consideration, I use velocity to sort of help have a rough idea of my progress. I'm not going to use one data point to say for sure yes or no, this is the direction I'm going. And if I relied solely on this data, I would be choosing a third attempt at my powerlifting competition somewhere around 235 kilos, which is well over 510 pounds. So that's not going to happen. I definitely don't have that in me, at least not at this point. So nonetheless, you know, that was a challenging rep, the 220, but I definitely don't think that's all I have in me. So, you know, I'm just happy that I was able to get this session in. I'm happy that you know, we're done with the heavy lifting, and now it's just time to sort of deload, recover, and make sure that I make weight for the weigh-ins. So that is the next part of the journey, and we will see you guys shortly. That'll be the end of this video. Be sure to give this video a like. Post your comments and questions below if you guys have any about my training, about life, about velocity-based training, whatever. I respond to pretty much all the questions, mostly because I don't get that many. But I will respond to your questions. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.